Hello, Assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And I'm back because I'm thinking maybe this really needs to be put out there. I'm sure I must have mentioned snippets of it every now and then because it is a kind of a pet peeve, or it's related to a pet peeve in any way, very directly. And here I'm talking about, again, the mentality of the people here. When we always say that, there are so many reasons that we count and we say, this is why Pakistan is doomed. This is why our country doesn't have a future. And obviously, it's only people who think about it as in honestly, people who are not afraid to be honest. They will all agree with it. In fact, everybody agrees with it at some point or the other in their lives. But there's always those people, there's always those that herd of sheep in every society that is always trying to act as if, they're being very, very wise, but by being over positive, but they're not being wise. There's a reason why wisdom is rare. I think people don't recognize the actual meaning of wisdom. Wisdom is knowing shit, to put it very, very in a very layman's term, okay? Wisdom is knowing things the way they are, and then knowing the way they should be, knowing what needs to be done to get them changed, and knowing when things cannot be changed. That's wisdom. And to be honest, it's closely related to common sense, one would think. But as we know, common sense is the sense that's not common. And that's the irony here of the humankind. Because, for example, I'll give you a most recent example of how these past few days, before the illustrious dust storm yesterday, and until today, we have been having unscheduled load shedding. So we can't even call it load shedding because it's just people just doing their thing, impromptu, power cuts without any rhyme or reason. And most of the time, they don't even bother to give you an update, despite the fact that we have this group where everybody's like constantly asking for an update. And I'm thinking to myself, sweetheart, if people actually have the courtesy to give you an update, they would have the courtesy to even inform you before a power cut, scheduled or otherwise. And it's so difficult to get any answer, obviously, because the management of our residential society is the pits, the very epitome of what a Pakistani is, to be honest. The true Pakistanis, the kind of Pakistanis that we really wish didn't exist on earth, the ones that make this country hell, in other words, the ones which unfortunately now we identify this country with. Because let's be honest, the crème de la crème, the cream, and I'm talking about mentally speaking, not the elite, not the wealthy. No, I'm talking about the wealthy of the mind, the elite of the mind, the actual good people, the decent people. They left a long time ago. Many of them had the wisdom to stay abroad, despite the fact that they would have nostalgic memories. They go down memory lane about Pakistan. They even tend to visit Pakistan every now and then, but they have the wisdom to know that visiting Pakistan is just the best they can do, because that is the only way they can get all the good things of this country and again leave with refreshed new good memories. Because they know a prolonged stay here or an actual moving back to this place is going to be the worst decision ever made. But there are fools, as you know, there are fools like my parents who do not learn from their mistakes, and they keep on repeating that stupid mistake over and over again, which, as we know as Muslims, God has said that mistakes that are repeated over and over again are not mistakes. They're actually deliberate acts. So should those acts be forgiven? I believe not. Because if it's a deliberate act, it's not a mistake. If it's not a mistake, it means you have deliberately intended to cause harm. And so you should be punished. But anyway, I digress. Let's get back to the point at hand. The point being, it led me to thinking about brain drain. And I was like, yeah, okay, so no wonder there's this huge brain drain in Pakistan. And then I think, oh, wait, shouldn't we go back a little further and ask ourselves, Was there actually even a brain? When was the last time I think we had a brain in this country? When was the last time we had real brains in this country? I think it was eons ago, decades ago. I think all the brain drain, the actual brain drain happened decades ago. And I don't think we ever recovered from that. So to cite the biggest brain drain ever in history would not be maybe accurate if we put it along this line, because what was left of the brain anyway, that is what shifted. And what was left of the actual brain? Did we actually have a brain left that just drained recently? You know? And then if you argue that yes, we actually did have some brains and that is why we had the hugest drain, then you would think again and look around you and say, oh yeah, that's why I'm surrounded by stupid people. That's why I'm surrounded by people who are saying, oh, we should count our blessings. And this is in answer to somebody who's actually asking, can somebody please tell me what the hell is going on with the electricity? Why are they just, doing power outages without telling us the cause or the reason? Why is it unscheduled? Why is it timeless? And why is it on a daily basis? Why is it that every day they cite, whenever we ask and we run after them and we try to get an answer, then they say that, oh, we are doing some maintenance job. Because of that, the light will be gone for an hour. First of all, couldn't you have just parked that before? If this was indeed a maintenance job, wasn't it your duty, your professional duty, to announce it? To notify the people involved, the people concerned, that, what, we're just going to F your power supply for an hour. Thank you very much. But no. And then people have to ask and ask and ask. And then finally, maybe somebody manages to get something done. And then they get an answer. And the answer is, due to maintenance, we had to cut off your power supply. It will be required at least an hour to get the job done. Seriously? Are you serious? And then when we start thinking and talking about how is it that on a daily basis there's maintenance and yet we are still not getting stable electricity, by the way, we're getting mad fluctuations and we're not getting light every day. If you were doing an actual maintenance, don't you think we would actually have relief of at least a few days before you go and do another power cut? Why is the maintenance every day? And in answer to that, you have these women chirping around talking about, oh, we are better off than so many people. Who knows who's going through what? We also used to feel like that, but now we're thinking, oh, we're actually in a much better place than so many people. We should count our blessings and we should pray. Oh, this prayer thing that starts. Oh, yeah. If prayers could change the world, we wouldn't be seeing Gaza and Kashmir getting screwed for almost a century. Yeah. Put that in your brain that is already drained. Just for once, stop trying to be those Twitter heads, and I don't mean the social app Twitter, I mean bird brains. Okay, stop being those bird brains. Okay, stop being stupid people. Okay, understand that a spade needs to be called a spade. Understand that you can never fix your shit if you don't recognize that it is shit. When will you realize that? You're talking about prayers. Islam doesn't teach you to just pray for a change in the world. Islam tells you, God tells you, there will only be change if you bring about change. It's in the Quran, for crying out loud, where God very bluntly says, I'm not going to help you and I'm not going to change your situation. The only way you can get it changed is by doing something yourself. And when you get off your asses and you do something yourselves, that is when God decides to help you. And thus, you have that proverb, God helps those who help themselves. And you're sitting and talking about counting your blessings and praying. You were hijacked freaking 70 years ago, and that's all you've done for the past 70 freaking years. You were counting your blessings and praying, and this is why today we have a fake field marshal. I mean, how much more pathetic can you get that you have a fake field marshal and you have a fake Queen Elizabeth who is inciting the Gunda Act of 1930, and you have a fake government, an illegal government that nobody ever voted for, that was literally planted by the American establishment, and you are sitting on your haunches praying still. These people sent the one man that was actually doing your shit for you, the one man that was actually trying to fix your shit. They ousted him, they put him in jail, they tried to kill him 3-4 times, and you're sitting on your haunches and you're counting your blessings and you're praying. You know what? The people of Gaza and Kashmir are 1,000 times better than you are. If anything, they've just proved that praying doesn't do jack shit, okay? They've also proved that you have to struggle for almost a century and still get nowhere. Why? Because you're surrounded by stupid people who are sitting on their haunches and praying instead of actually going out there and helping you. You people cannot even help yourselves. How can you help Gaza? How can you help Kashmir? Seriously. You've got a stupid-ass field marshal who didn't even go to war but decided to take advantage of the 100% air combat that went on between India and Pakistan to declare himself field marshal. If anybody had any sense of being called a field marshal, it would probably be the air chief. You know, that would have made a lot more sense, even if technically incorrect. Compared to you, you idiotic, you moron, sitting up on our brains, causing even more brain drain, as if we ever had any more brains left to drain. You know, I'm sick and tired of this. This is the mentality. We're here, again, you're talking about, listen, you freakazoids, you nominal Muslims who are Muslim in name only but have jack shit for practice to show. Let me teach you the basics of Islam. Number one, get off your asses and do the work. Number two, stop sitting on your haunches and expecting a messiah to come and save you. You're not nawabs, you're not princes and princesses. Okay, you're not gods. You don't have angels working around you, for you. And you haven't made this world. You don't own this world. You live here. You have a responsibility towards this world. You have a responsibility towards your society. Sitting and praying isn't going to keep your children off drugs. Handing the car keys of your car to your minor children, despite the fact that you are having deaths. Remember the accident that I talked about in my previous podcast? Yeah. Remember how I said that the news was claiming that they were between 18 and 25? Yeah. You know why I just kept quiet? I didn't want to say it that time. I really didn't want to even go into this whole debate, because this is something that I and a lot of us actually have been constantly complaining about for over a year now. And that is this recent trend that has begun all over again. And obviously, because you've got an illegal government, lawlessness is, that's key. That's key to your governance. Your government is lawless. They're promoting lawlessness. And as a result, you're having minors driving and killing people. It's making the news every freaking week that some minor has killed a whole family. Some minor has killed himself, When was the last time we heard about a minor having an accident, or minors having an accident and getting killed? Yeah, that was more than 10 years ago, to be honest. And that time even we were like blaming the parents. We were like, it's the parents. I mean, what the frack were you thinking? Giving your 14-year-old the car keys and letting them to drive to a party in the middle of the freaking night and then getting back home in the middle of the freaking night, probably half-assed drunk. Or maybe high, for all you know, because it is, after all, if they're doing the illegal act of driving a car, you think that they're not going to go all the way and get it illegally high? I mean, seriously? And then you go around and you get your children killed, and then you cry buckets of water, and nobody seems to learn the lesson from that. Nobody, because 10 years forward into time, and here we are, for the past freaking year, in fact, a year and a half now, there's this trend of every single freaking minor driving a car and overspeeding in residential areas, causing accidents to parked cars, hitting people, and their parents are not even apologizing. No, no, no. Their parents are not apologizing. Their parents are instead threatening their victims and saying, so what if you got a little hurt? It's normal. It's normal to hit a car. It's normal to hit a parked car. It's normal to get into an accident. This is how people are. I mean, seriously. And then you're saying we should count our blessings that we're living in such a wonderful country, and this country has a bright and brilliant future. My freaking ass. You mofos, you SOBs, all you've ever done is made this country even worse than it ever was before. Okay, every single month, every single year, this country became worse than the last month or the last year. You are promoting and engaging in lawless behavior because, oh yeah, your government has allowed it. So, your government is lawless. Zardari, first of all, when he was president, he's president again, illegally, obviously. The man can't even stand without being injected by some sort of a booster, let alone talk. This is his condition, but he's our president, okay. And when he was our president before, he literally legitimized corruption. He legitimized black money. And since then, it has been so hard to get rid of that whole trend of black money. And as you know, the Prophet said, the way you earn your money and the way you have sex, these are the two ways. I mean, these are the two things that reflect on your children. You can see how it's reflecting on the children. You can see the haram ka paisa dancing around. You can see that haram earning, flitting around in our society, where you have minors driving freaking cars in residential areas and on the street and on the roads and on the highways and causing accidents and killing people, and there's no remorse. But that accident that I just told you, which the news claimed that they were 18 to 25, they were actually students of class 10 and 11. You know what that means? Students of grade 10 and grade 11. 14 to 16 years old. And from what we understood, it was the youngest one that was driving. Or okay, make it the oldest one who was driving. Who gives a frack at this point? All three of them are dead. They were overspeeding at rush hour, no less, which nobody really understands why. They tried to probably cut through, and they fell into the canal, and all three of them died. Just amazing, isn't it? All three of them died. Do you know how deep a canal is? It's just waist high. Okay. We have had so many, I mean, not so many, but we have had those weird, seldom, odd, accidents where drivers have actually managed to somehow or the other, which I still cannot understand, neither gravity nor the structure of the road and the canal, allow for it to happen. But by some weird ass miracle, people manage to just throw their cars into the canal once in a blue moon, but they all survive. Kids survive. Everybody survives because it's not that deep, So the deepest it could be, if it's really, really full, would be what? Till your chest. If you're a tall guy, till your, till your chest. Otherwise, nearing your shoulders. And normally on low, I'll say tide for the lack of a better word, it's no more than your torso, seriously, at the most. So tell me again, how is it that they all died? They were overspeeding. in the morning when everybody was going to school and college and all. This is the last week, by the way, of schools for O levels and A levels, because then exams will begin. So they were overspeeding, and then they fell into the canal, and it was a Honda City that fell into the canal. That even makes lesser sense, to be honest. That makes even lesser sense to have a Honda City fly onto a canal from the main road, a main road that actually has 4 lanes. It's that wide, it's that big. And anyway, and they all die. Just think about that, because that's one thing that I just cannot understand or wrap my brains around. Maybe I've lost brain too. After all, there is brain drain in this country. I think when I left this country twice, I left my brains there when I came back each time. So now I have nothing left to drain, because I don't get it. I seriously don't. And I don't get this weird ass attitude that people still have. When we were complaining about their kids driving, you know, nobody wanted to admit that they were wrong. Nobody in this same group of women, because almost all of them, 99% of them, were actually culprits. And now after this accident, everybody's like, oh, poor parents, oh, poor kids. And I'm like, yeah, please tell your kid to go take the car out right this minute and go. Let him drive. After all, he's been driving too, isn't it? Now suddenly what? Now you're not going to tell you their kids are still driving. Amazing, isn't it? As I said, in this country where people are not learning their freaking lessons, where people do not give a shit no matter what happens, and then you say, oh, this country is running, on it's because of God, and it's because of the few godly people that we have in this country. It's on their shoulders. I'm like, no, because the few godly people that you have, they really want you wiped out of this earth, to be honest. You've made their lives hell. You've made their lives so much hell that they're beginning to doubt. They're beginning to doubt in the actual existence of God. They're beginning to doubt. They're beginning to wonder if all this faith that they had, their whole freaking lives, was it even worth it? I should know. I started doubting a little less than a decade ago. Seriously, looking at the people here, looking at their attitude, looking at their behavior. I lost faith. I don't mind saying it out loud now. Seriously, I've lost faith. I've lost trust in God, because I don't know what the fuck it is that he's doing here. I mean, I know. And actually because I know, I guess that's made me lose even more faith. I don't know. But seriously, those godly people, they're fast getting out of being godly. Number one, those who are still godly, seriously, they are actually bearing the brunt of you people, of your atrocities, of your stupidities, of your mentality. They're paying the price, and they're too tired now. Okay, they're exhausted. They would rather you just disappear from this earth. Seriously, because you are literally bringing them to the tatters. Okay, if they haven't already lost faith yet, they are about to, thanks to you. So basically, on whose mercy is this country running? The devil. Yeah, the only person, I think the only thing responsible for maintaining this country is the devil, because you, my friends, are the devil's spawns. There's no other way to describe it. India, Pakistan, both of you, seriously, you're the devil's spawns. The devil incarnate, his spawns. That's all I can say, because seriously, I do not understand. I would think that from all the signs that I'm seeing, and I've mentioned this many times before, all the signs that I'm seeing, it's more like God is trying to destroy you, and you're only existing because of the devil. This dust storm that just took place yesterday, it took the lives of at least 19 people, and probably still counting. Yes. Why? Because this dust storm was not just a dust storm. Here in Lahore, it turned into a rainstorm after almost an hour of raging dust billowing through and seriously making us all think as if now something's just going to give. Something's definitely going to crack and fall. Something's going to break. Something is just something's going to happen now. And then finally it breaks into rain. Now, as usual in my part of Lahore, which I refer to as the sinner's pit. Yeah, because it hardly ever rains properly now. There was a time when whether it rained or not anywhere else in Lahore, it rained a lot here, okay? But thanks to Nawaz Sharif and Shahbaz Sharif screwing with this area, this whole part of Lahore, it's hardly ever rained properly, to be honest. It will rain 5 minutes outside, seriously. Just walk 5 minutes outside and it's torrential pouring rain. Come back 5 minutes inside the residential area. Yeah, it's drizzling. If you're lucky, that is. Otherwise, it's not even a drop. So there we are, but it actually rained properly yesterday. So it wasn't just a dust storm turned into rainstorm, but it was the dust storm turned into hailstorm in other parts of the region. And it took 19 lives, as I said last I heard, probably counting. So tell me, if this doesn't tell you that this is divine wrath, I don't know what does. With dust storms, we always have them. We always have these ferocious storms, but not like this. No, now the weather is getting more and more brutal. The heat is getting more and more brutal. The weather is getting more and more violent. You see where I'm trying to go here, right? This is not normal, in other words. Obviously, scientifically speaking and environmentally speaking and, in evolutionary terms, if you speak, you would know that this is actually normal because, as I've said it before, actually the way the earth is made, it dies and rebuilds itself every single second of the day, okay? The earth started self-destructing the very second it was born. That's the beauty of it, you see. It is simultaneously recreating and destroying itself. This is an evolutionary process. Part of the environmental evolution or the earthly evolution is drastic changes in weather, so much so that these climatic changes could lead to global geographic changes. As we know, continents were made, remade, shifted, moved. You had the sea levels, then you had the land levels, then you had new continents pop up, and you had some continents just disappear. You know what I'm saying, right? I'm just putting it out in very simple layman terms. But this is part of the Earth's evolution, okay? That it's constantly building and is constantly destroying itself and is constantly creating and it's constantly dying. So this is how it is. But nothing happens without a divine interpretation as well, right? So we have to take both of them hand in hand. That's another thing about Islam. You see, Islam says that you must have both the religious as well as the worldly knowledge. You must have both. You should have both to attain a proper balance in life, to understand things a little better. So yeah, but I mean, this is something that we really need to think about, okay? I've said it in a million different ways, bringing in different subjects, but it all boils down again to the same thing. We are all people who are completely unhinged, okay, in our own rights, okay? Let's put it this way. Completely unhinged to the point where we are trying to say and do anything and everything while refusing to get off our laurels, okay? We are sitting on our asses and we're expecting for a Messiah to come and perform a miracle. You know what? Somebody akin to a Messiah did come. What did you do? He almost got killed 4 times. What did you do? He got ousted and was jailed. What have you done till date for him? Seriously, what have you done? You people couldn't even get off your asses properly, and I mean properly, to continue the struggle, on a national level to get him out. Your situation is the same as that of Gaza and Kashmir's, where you have Gaza fighting, but the rest of the world is just silent. You have Kashmir fighting, the rest of the world is silent. So you have these people in Pakistan fighting, but the rest of Pakistan is silent. Because why? Because they believe that we should pray for a change. Are you serious? What the frack is wrong with you people? Again, let me remind you, if prayers could change anything, the world would have changed by now. Gaza would be free, Kashmir would be free, okay? People wouldn't be dying left, right, and center. If prayers could change the world, your fake field marshal would have been dead by now. So would Maryam Nawaz and her whole family. So would Zardari and the whole family. Your whole bureaucratic machinery would have been demolished in this dust storm that just took place yesterday. Instead of taking those 19 lives, it could have gone and taken the lives of the whole government and judiciary. And we could have just sat down marveling at the miracle that is God, at the miracle of our prayers. But where are we standing today? We are standing with nothing, because all we did was pray. I'm sorry, but even Islam does not condone such a deed or an act. Sitting and telling people who are trying to find out why we're having electricity problems every day, impromptu load sheddings, and trying to find out why is it that a certain fault was never discovered for the past 5 days, despite every single day having an impromptu maintenance work taking place, which resulted in us not having any power for hours and hours on end every single day, just to find out after 5 days that, oh, there's this fault that has come in. And that fault, even it took you 5 freaking days to find out. And yet I bet you tomorrow again we will have an impromptu load shedding at again another odd hour of the day or night, you know. And then when you will again try to find out what's going on, you will have people immediately coming and saying, oh, Pakistan has a bright future. Oh, we should count our blessings. Oh, we should pray. We should pray that things should get better. Are you serious? What is wrong with you people? The whole point of Islam was to get an education. You know why education is obligatory in Islam? So that you should use your freaking minds. All I see is people who have crammed through their education. They have just received a degree for the sake of a degree, but they haven't earned jack shit in the sense of mentally speaking. Mentally speaking, they are still uneducated, illiterate ignoramuses, okay? And when you have people like that, then you know your country has no future. And when people like that are arguing with you and saying, oh, your country has a bright future, you know you're freaking doomed. Because whatever little sort of a positivity that you have in your mind nagging at you that, oh, no, maybe, just maybe, because you are a Muslim and at the end of the day, you are plagued with that faith in God, thinking that, oh, maybe, just maybe things will turn around. And then these people come and say, oh, you have, and you're like, oh yeah, fuck it. No, there is no future. No. What was I thinking? So here we are, where you can't even get a straight answer to a logical question as to how was the fault not found out these past 5 days? Why have we been going through impromptu load shedding for hours on end? Why did nobody bother to notify us every single day before the power cuts? Why is it that nobody found any fault? And why is it that you're finding a fault now? And where did the fault come from? And when and how do you expect to get it fixed? And should we expect a load shedding again tomorrow? And to all these questions, you're getting the answer. Oh, let us sit and pray and count our blessings. We're better off than so many people. Seriously? You might as well then just go back to caveman land. That was a very blessed time for cave people. They also enjoyed their lives. They were in harmony with nature too, for all I know. That would have probably been a much sweeter life for you. I mean, why make progress? You do know what Islam is all about, right? Are you even Muslims? I mean, that, as I said, the first thing I always think about the people here is, you're not even Muslims. I'm sorry, I don't give a shit, but let's just be honest. You're not. As if you're not practicing your religion properly, you're not Muslims, okay? Especially if you can't even get these little things right. What the frack are you doing? Seriously. As a Muslim, it is our responsibility to call out people who are wrong, to call ourselves out when we're wrong, to address a wrong and make it right, to call a spade, and to actually do something about it. Not to sit and say, oh, it's a spade. Oh, let's just pretend that it is not a spade. Let's pretend it's a basket full of flowers. Let's pretend we're sniffing those flowers. Let's pretend we're in heaven right now. Yeah, right. You do realize that according to God, a huge majority of the human race is going to enter into hell, right? Get off your asses, get out of La La Land, and please smell the freaking coffee. This is me signing out in a country that has been drained of all brains, that even the drained brains have drained, and now there's nothing left. This is me signing out. Again, Khuda Hafiz.